All right, guys, so a couple weeks ago, I made a video going over Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft. Now, Daniel Jeremiah is an NFL analyst at NFL.com, and I like taking a look at some of the analysts' mock drafts and seeing who they have mocked to the Green Bay Packers to kind of give us a little bit of a different perspective on what others think the Packers are going to go ahead and mock draft. Because if you're a frequent viewer of this channel, you know we do a mock draft every week, and us Packers fans, we have a particular pool of players that we really want to see mocked to the Green Bay Packers. So Daniel Jeremiah this morning released his mock draft version 3.0. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at who he has mocked to the Green Bay Packers, assess that pick, and break it down. In version 2.0, Jeremiah had mocked Cooper DeJean to the Green Bay Packers, who I know a lot of people want that to happen. And if DeJean ends up falling to 25, and that could happen because he didn't, participate in the combine, I think that's a home run pick. But this mock draft is not Cooper DeJean. It's actually on the opposite side of the ball. It's on the offense. So let's dive into it. If you want to see more of these videos going over some mock drafts from other analysts around the internet, let me know down in the comments below, and also leave a like on the video. Go down, click subscribe if you want more Packers news, analysis, and updates every single day. We dive down heavily into the NFL draft, which is nearing closer and closer, and I am beyond excited for that. All right, so let's waste no more time and bring up the screen. Quickly wanted to run over some of the other picks he has in this mock draft because that's also very interesting of the way that the draft may fall. He has the Chicago Bears taking Caleb Williams. That much is obvious. He has Drake May going number 2 to the Commanders, Jaden Daniels at number 3 to the Patriots. Then he has the Minnesota Vikings trading up to number 4 after 3 straight quarterbacks, which I do see the Vikings like pretty much selling their house to trade up and get a quarterback. And if they do so to get J.J. McCarthy at 4, oh man, that's going to be a laughable thing in my opinion. So if they trade up with the Cardinals here and grab J.J. McCarthy after 3 quarterbacks off the board there, that'd be really, really funny. Then we have Marvin Harrison, the Jets trading with the Chargers. I don't know if the Chargers would pass this up after, releasing Mike Williams, trading Keenan Allen. Would they trade that pick when Marvin Harrison is just sitting there in their laps? I highly doubt that, but that would be a huge move for the Jets. Malik Neighbors to the Giants, Joe Alt to the Titans, Dallas Turner to the Falcons, the Bears getting Rome Odunze at 9. I think Rome Odunze is off the board before 9, and this would just annoy me. I don't want the Bears to get him. I don't think the Chargers would drop all that way, skip all those receivers, Odunze, Neighbors, and Harrison, just to go Tilly's Fuega at 10. I like that pick, but they definitely need some wide receivers. At 11, Jared Verse, Brock Bowers at 12 to the Broncos. The Raiders taking Michael Penix Jr. at 13. That's pretty high for him, but I mean, with a run on quarterbacks, it could definitely happen. Fashanu to the Saints, Quinyon Mitchell to the Colts, Fatano to the Seahawks. We have Terrion Arnold going to the Jaguars, J.C. Latham to the Bengals, Latu to the Rams, Tyler Guyton to the Steelers, Graham Barton to the Miami Dolphins, Nate Wiggins to the Eagles, Brian Thomas to the Cardinals, and Jackson Powers Johnson to the Cowboys. So now let's take a look at who Daniel Jeremiah has the Green Bay Packers taking in his most recent mock draft, and that is offensive tackle Amarius Mims out of Georgia. I mean, the Packers selecting a Georgia player in the first round. Who could have guessed it, right? And he states, the Packers have moved on from injury-riddled left tackle David Bakhtiari. I could still see Green Bay going in several different directions with this pick, but Mims's upside would be very tempting here. And I like that he does preface this with he could see Green Bay going in several different directions with this pick because, it's really hard to mock draft the Green Bay Packers. Like most of the time, everyone's wrong. And most of the time, it's kind of a pick where you're like, oh, okay, like that screams Packers. Like they just went out and picked a guy none of us had mocked to the Packers. But Amarius Mims, this is an interesting one. Now, I get it, but Graham Barton, I like a lot better, which we'll dive down into. And of course, in this mock draft, he goes before the Packers pick at 21. Do I see Graham Barton going that early? I'm not necessarily sure. But in terms of Amarius Mims, I'm not huge on this pick, and let me state why. So first off, in that description, he states the Packers are finally moving on from injury-riddled David Bakhtiari. But if you look at Amarius Mims, I mean, the guy, he's played very little snaps due to, not being a starter, but also injury in 2023. So 7 games in 2023. Yes, he played 14 in 2022, but back down to 9 games in 2021. So, he is very little snaps. We see 297 snaps in 2023, 383 snaps in 2022. So although he played in 14 games, he wasn't starting for all of them. And then only 121 snaps in 2021, and all of which at right tackle. So this begs the question, if they select Amarius Mims, does that mean Zach Tom moves into right guard or center? Now, I think Zach Tom can play at any position, but I believe he's set up to be an all-pro in 2024 at right tackle. Now, if they were to go and select a pure right tackle, say like Amarius Mims, an absolute monster of a human, right? He's 6'7", 340 pounds, then yes, you would kind of have to move Zach Tom inside, right? You're not going to move Rasheed Walker inside. If you drafted a pure left tackle, you'd probably put Rasheed Walker on the right and still move Zach Tom inside. But now let's quickly look at his description, Amarius Mims. This is his PFF profile again. Junior coming out of Georgia, still only 21 years old. Mims is not a polished prospect, a level below former teammate and first-round pick Broderick Jones, but he brings sky-high potential. He'll take some developing, but trench players built like this don't make it out of the top 50. So it seems like he's going to be a developmental player. So then at that point, you are probably keeping Zach Tom at right tackle. And I think he has a all-pro season in 2024 at right tackle. So you're developing this tackle to potentially make Zach Tom move from his all-pro position. Doesn't make too much sense for me. I think if they're going to take a lineman, they're going to go a guy that has versatility that could definitely slide into guard or center. Before we dive down into Mims's pros and cons and kind of compare him with some other linemen that I'd like better at 25, I wanted to let you guys know that this video is being sponsored by BetUS. And right now on BetUS, you can get a 125% deposit match on your first 3 deposits up to $2,500. And also on BetUS, right now you can bet on the upcoming NFL draft. There's things to bet on such as the first quarterback selected. Obviously, Caleb Williams is the leader here at minus 3,500. That much is pretty much set in stone. But you can also bet on the first non-quarterback selected. I still believe it's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. You can also bet on the second overall pick. And this one's kind of up in the air. A lot of people think it could be Jaden Daniels. A lot of people think it could be Drake May. I think if it's the Washington Commanders, it's going to be Drake May, and that's actually the second highest favorited one. So Jaden Daniels is the favorite at the number 2 pick here. So if you were to go ahead and place a bet on Drake May being the second overall pick, if you threw $50 down, you'd win $70. So then you'd have $120 if you were to win that bet. So I'm going to go ahead and place that one because I do think it's going to be Drake May at number 2 over Jaden Daniels.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer, a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits, plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
All right, so now back to Amarius Mims. Let's look at his pros and cons. For pros, he has a deal build and elite length for the pro level. Fast and fluid movement skills for a player of his size. He moves like a giant athlete. Impressive flexibility to sit in his stance pre-snap and get a wide base. Strong player who can displace and redirect. Grip strength is strong when he gets his hands inside. In terms of his cons, feet are heavy. Kick slides are a bit slow and strides don't stretch as far as they could, appearing a little clunky in the lower body. He's a smooth athlete, especially for his size, but he doesn't fire off the ball like Broderick Jones did. Inexperienced, doesn't seem as confident in pass sets. So it really seems like Amarius Mims is just a true people mover at the right tackle position, which I would love. I would love a true people mover on this offensive line where it's like that offensive lineman is where you're going to run Josh Jacobs behind. I think we do need more maulers on the offensive line, but I think there's a much bigger need inside where we can add some maulers as well. Furthermore, it says it's hard to believe how the 6'7", 340-pound Mims can sit down in his stance and run to cover ground. He also has elite length for the position. While his physical potential is through the roof, he lacks experience. He played only 682 snaps over the past 2 seasons with just 8 starts due to biding his time at a talented program and injury in 2023. He is a strong player who can maintain blocks well with good upper body strength. Mims is more smooth than he is truly explosive as an athlete, which takes away some of his punch at contact. His feet are also a bit slow in pass protection, which can cause some clunky kickbacks and oversetting. And funny enough, looking at his trends on PFF in terms of their mock drafts, he is most drafted by the Green Bay Packers at 19% because he kind of just falls around pick 25. And a lot of times you're sitting there at 25 and a guy like Mims, who's ranked around 20 to 22, is the top guy on the board. I think Graham Barton is just more of a Packers pick. And I know in this Daniel Jeremiah mock draft, he was selected before Mims. I don't think that happens. I do think someone goes out and select Mims over Graham Barton because they need a right tackle. But right now, the Packers really don't need a right tackle. And if we take a look at Graham Barton, he has 3 seasons, a lot of snaps, all at left tackle, but 4 seasons ago, he played center, and that's where a lot of people see him switching to in the NFL. He's 6'5", 314 pounds. He's a senior, but still 21 years old. Barton is a tough and well-moving lineman with strong hands and a mean streak in the run game. His best position in the NFL is likely at center, as he brings starting caliber traits there. And what do you know? He's even more mocked to the Green Bay Packers on PFF at 29%. That's a pretty high percent in terms of all mock drafts to say this guy is going to be a Green Bay Packer. So he was kind of my sneaky pick at first. Like, okay, this is going to be the guy that the Packers select, and everyone's like, oh, wow, that's a little surprising. But now it seems like it's more of like a common thing. So maybe it won't happen. As for Graham Barton, I feel like it's a better pick for them if they were to go lineman at 25, because they could start him at center day one. You know, if you don't feel comfortable with Josh Myers, you could even put him at right guard day one. Say to have competition with Sean Ryan and let the best man win. You know, last year, a 75.9 PFF grade, allowed 2 sacks, good run block grade, 71.2, great pass block grade, 78.2. So overall, if the Packers were to go lineman at 25, you know, I think some of the players available could be Mims and Barton, Tyler Guyton, maybe even J.C. Latham. I think Latham goes before the Packers, but, you know, Mims, Barton, Guyton, Jordan Morgan could all be sitting there at 25. And I think if I had to choose one out of those 4 at 25, it's definitely Graham Barton. So to wrap out Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, he has the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Darius Robinson at 26, Byron Murphy at 27 of the Cardinals, Jerzon Newton at 28. Like, if Jerzon Newton's on the board and the Packers go Marius Mims, I'm going to be a little annoyed, because even though the defensive tackle is not a huge need for the Green Bay Packers, you know, they could definitely use someone like Jerzon Newton. Just strengthen that front seven, that new 4-3 front with someone like Jerzon Newton would be absolutely insane. So Jerzon Newton at 28, Kool-Aid McKinstry at 29 to the Lions, Cooper DeJean falling all the way to 30. So, like, if you have all these guys on the board, even Kool-Aid McKinstry, right, even Byron Murphy, all 4 of these guys here on the board at 25, I mean, I guess that does feel very Packers-esque for them to draft a tackle out of Georgia where they have Zach Tom at right tackle anyways, but that would annoy me. Even Chop Robinson, 31, and then they have the Chiefs going Donnie Mitchell at 32. But I want to know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm not a huge fan of this pick, but again, sometimes we're never fans of the Packers first round picks and we end up liking them. So it's just a process, but I wouldn't be too fond of them selecting a pure right tackle, kind of developmental right tackle at pick 25 when there's other positions that have much bigger needs, and you could get guys that could start right away, like a Graham Barton, a Cooper DeJean, right, a Jerzon Newton. These guys can definitely go in and play right away. It's like, will Marius Mims play right away, because they're going to keep Zach Tom at right tackle, Rasheed Walker at left tackle, and they still have a need at guard. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But I appreciate you guys coming by to the video. Again, leave a like down below if you do enjoy this type of video, and I'll do more of them. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.